All these years later, you've not stopped. If you go to your IMDb page, you have a ton of credits. You're still under 30.
Almost.
That's really commendable.
I was like, one of my goals was to make a movie before I was 30. I did it. It's done.
But so many people love the idea of something. It's glamorous. Yeah, I want to be this or that. I want to walk the red carpet. I want to have the notoriety. But they don't stay with it because it's a grind. So
See, I was never motivated by those things though. Like walking the red carpet and the glamorous stuff you talk about. I never knew much about that stuff. I didn't care about that. I wanted to just make movies. It's hard to explain to someone that passion or that need. You just want to do it. And you want to do it bad enough that you'll kind of like just about do anything, you know. And you'll associate with people that are feeling the same way. That's what I try to do. I kept my friend circle passionate as well. Like the people that I would surround myself with as friends, I would try to keep them the ones that were also pushing as hard as they could to get to the next level of things and constantly making themselves better, constantly challenging one another, and you know, shooting for the moon and maybe falling short sometimes, but at least getting, you know, a little further each time. And you know, it's been tough sometimes because you have to leave some people kind of behind, I guess. Not behind, but like you just sort of veer off in different paths. That's been probably the most challenging thing. That's been one of the things that sort of did kind of get me to consider maybe quitting at some point, because it was challenging my friendship sometimes, and you know, that's tough for a guy that comes from Ohio. It's like one of the most important things to you is friends and family. But I don't know. I've always believed in myself enough that I felt that I was doing the right thing, and it seems to have worked so far. All of the choices, of course, I've made some mistakes along the way, but my main sort of philosophy, I guess would be the word, of keeping, you know, surrounding yourself with people that are like that. It just really helps out a lot. You know, those are my best friends that right now. Some of my best friends are, you know, guys that are still trying to get to the next level as well, and it's inspiring to see that from them, and then hopefully what I'm doing is also inspiring to them. Trade-off, you know, but it's also you have things that you can relate to with people. You can talk about difficulties that are naturally going to show up from things like that you're doing, and you have people that can relate to it at that point.
Did you feel pressure to your parents to show that you could make a living from this, because they're both professionals and they also believed in you?
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's a daunting task to come out of a place where this kind of thing is not really done that often, and to show up to LA all of a sudden and have to figure out where you're going to stand, how you're going to stay afloat. I had a smart mother who made me save up enough money to be able to basically live out here for a year without working. I was able to get work pretty quickly, so I had enough saved, you know, that even if I was living a little outside of my means just from being in LA in general, I could still survive for a longer period of time. I think that's a huge, very, very important thing for people who are first starting out to do, and that is to save up a bunch of money before you try to come out here, because otherwise you'll end up chasing your rent every day, and it will be very hard to commit to things that are going to help you get better. Even free things, because when you first start off, that was how I got all my jobs. I would go on Craigslist and I would just take gigs that were either no pay or very, very little pay, just so I can get to know people and meet people, because all those type of people are like you at that time. And then if you meet people that are like you and you're all kind of coming up together, you help each other, right? It's not easy to just jump on board Steven Spielberg's next project. You can't do that. You have to have friends that will ultimately become Steven Spielberg, or friends that are going to grow along with you, so that way you guys together you have a little team with you, you know what I mean? So that was part of my strategy when I first moved out here, was to, at the time it was Craigslist. I'm not sure how effective that is today, but I know there's other things like staffmeup.com and places like that. You can try to get work and put yourself out there, and you know, I would say if you're first starting out, for me the best thing was to take free gigs, have a little money saved aside so I could do that, but then you have those people that owe you a favor too, so if they get a job that's paying, they're going to be more likely to hook you up. Also, I had a reel, which helped a lot. like I said before, I've been making movies since I was 8, so I had a reasonably decent reel for my age. You know, I was 21 when I first moved out here, so I had a decent amount of stuff on my reel for that time period. And I think it was impressive to an older group of people who were maybe in their late 20s, early 30s that were in the position to hire me for things. So they'd be like, oh man, that kid's doing pretty cool stuff already. Probably he'll be good someday. I think that's what their mentality was. And so they would hire me and give me a chance when maybe they wouldn't have if they didn't see my work. So that was a big important thing too. I made a lot of my mistakes early on and then whittled down the best of my work into a reel, which I showed to people. You know, it's 2-3 minutes long. It was a lot of my early fan film stuff that I did with my friends in college. But it was good enough that I felt confident to show it to people. And I was actually able to get my first cinematography gig that way. A film called Everyday Joe, a little short film. Starred Jason Charles Miller, who consequently, years later, introduced me to Tyler Mane, which is how I got the job for Compound. The first job I got in LA wasn't from him, but I worked with him on that project. I met him on that project. It was a free gig, basically. And years later, that's how I got Compound. So that's what I mean. Like, those people are gonna move up, you know, at the same time you are, and then you have a good group of friends that you can trade work and war stories with, you know?